the Senators of the Republic of the Philippines.
Hi guys. Yeah, are they there? Is Yulo here? Is Yulo here? The 46th session in the Senate, the first regular session of the 19th Congress is hereby called to order. We will be led in prayer by our distinguished colleague, Senator Mark Villar.
Almighty Creator, at the beginning of this week, let it be your will that we may be witnesses of your divine plan as we all work hand in hand for peace, unity, and progress in our country. May we be granted the clarity of thought and the eager heart to meet our duty for your glory. Allow your grace to come upon us and take hold of us so that we may serve the Filipino people according to your will. Bless the corners of this session hall, and we pray that it may be filled with your Spirit. Thank you for this opportunity that we can gather to fulfill our duty as legislators of the Philippines. May you give us guidance to carry wisdom, strength, and dedication to succeed in the things we will discuss today and in the times to come. Make us worthy of your trust and the mission you have bestowed upon us. Use us as instruments of freedom, equality, justice, and peace for the Filipino people. Pagpalain niyo po ang aming mahal na bansang Pilipinas at ang buong sambayan ng Pilipino. May integrity and uprightness govern all we endeavor so that all we do will prosper our country and our people. This we ask in your mighty name. Amen.
Amen. Please remain standing for the singing of the Philippine National Anthem. Thank you. Before I proceed with the roll call of members, maybe we can ask the Secretariat to bring back once again, every Monday, the singing of the Philippine National Anthem by the different choirs from all over the Philippines. I'm sure our old-timers here remember those days. And we stopped that only during the pandemic. Maybe we can restart it for next Monday. Thank you very much, gentlemen, ladies. Secretary, yeah? Overwhelming support? Very good. Secretary, please call the roll.
Roll call of members. The Honorable Senator Angara, Senator Binay,
Great.
Senator Cayetano Alan, Senator Cayetano Pia, Senator De La Rosa, Senator Ejercito, Senator Escudero, Senator Estrada, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Go, Senator Ontiveros, Senator Lapid, Senator Legarda, Senator Marcos, Senator Padilla, Senator Pimentel, Senator Poe, Senator Revilla, Senator Tolentino, Senator Tulfo, Senator Villanueva, Senator Villar Cynthia, Senator Villar Mark, the Senate President.
With 23 senators present, the chair declares the presence of a quorum. Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that we dispense with the reading of the journal of the 45th session, Wednesday, February 1, 2023, and consider the same as approved.
There being no objection to the motion is approved.
Mr. President, this juncture, allow me to just acknowledge some guests from the gallery. We have with us the pride of the country, Carlos Yulo, Mr. President, with Cynthia Lagdameo Carrion, Miguel Besana, Ace De Leon, guests of our Senate President, Mig Zubiri. We welcome all of them this afternoon. We also would like to welcome, Mr. President, Mayor Glenn Flores of Alaminos, Laguna, and Mayor Roseler Karatihan of Calauan, Laguna.
Yes, first of all, to our national athlete Carlos Yulo and all their teammates, together with Ma'am Cynthia Carrion, and also to the mayors that are here. Welcome to your Senate, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to your Senate. I believe Congresswoman Princess, there's a Congresswoman with us. Congresswoman Sakaluran rather, from Sultan Kudarat is with us as well.
We welcome
And Albay Governor Grex Lagman is with
we
us.
welcome them as well, Mr. President. Thank you. Mr. President, would you like to
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, at this juncture and with the permission of the body, I move to consider proposed Senate Resolution number 458, taking into consideration proposed Senate Resolution numbers 23, 248, 269, 273, 276, 281, and 292, and for the Secretary to read the title of the measure. This is the resolution commending Filipino gymnast Carlos Edriel Yulo.
Is there an objection? There be none. Motion is approved. Secretariat is instructed to read the said resolutions.
Resolution congratulating and commending Carlos Edriel Poquis Yulo for raising the Philippine flag as one of the best gymnasts in the Philippines has produced, thereby honoring the country with accolades in his quest for excellence in gymnastics.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, at this juncture to sponsor the measure, may we recognize our Senate President himself, Senator Juan Miguel Zubiri, to deliver his sponsorship speech.
Our Senate President, Juan Miguel Zubiri, is recognized.
Thank you very much, Senate President. It's my pleasure to welcome our very own Carlos Yulo to the Senate. We are honored to salute this young man who, at just 22 years old, has already become one of our most accomplished and decorated gymnast and athlete. There are certain sports and certain athletes that have become synonymous in our popular consciousness. Halimbawa, kung track and field ang usapan, automatic, Lydia De Vega yan. Sa bowling, Paeng Nepomuceno. Sa boxing, syempre, Manny Pacquiao. Kung sa weightlifting, top of mind is Hidelin Diaz. Yes. And of course, for pole vaulting, no other than E.J. Obiena. And sa billiards, si Efren Bata Reyes. With this gentleman's history-making triumphs of the world artistic gymnastics, Southeast Asian Games, and All Japan Seniors Championship, and the World Gymnastics Championship, among others, hindi malayong isipin na si Kaloy na ang muka ng ating Filipino gymnastics. Pati nga sa buong Southeast Asia, dala na rin niya being the first Filipino and male Southeast Asian to score a medal at the World Artistic Gymnastics Championship in 2019. And through all his triumphs, he has always proudly carried our flag, showing the world what Filipino excellence looks like. It has long been exciting witnessing his outstanding achievements at every competition. Lalo na ngayon na napakabilis kumalat ng clips sa social media, nakakatuwa makita kung paano maging viral ang mga performance ni Kaloy, especially among our youth. And on top of competition clips, natutuwa rin ako na nakikita rin natin sa social media yung pag-training ni Kaloy. We get a glimpse of the hours and hours of training, and we get to appreciate how much discipline it takes to be an all-around gymnast. Along with other young athletes like E.J. Obiena, Marjeline Didal, Kaloy is here showing our kids that hard work can actually be cool. I have no doubt that many young Filipinos have been inspired to work just as hard, to pursue their athletic interests just as seriously as Kaloy does. And his ability to inspire our youth is a great triumph itself. Walang kahit anong tropeo o medalya ang mas titimbang diyan sa feeling na yan. What is even more exciting though is knowing that Kaloy is just getting started, and that we have the good fortune of watching him grow and cheering him on every step of the way. So we in the Senate are one with the whole country in supporting him as he pursues even greater athletic heights, particularly throughout his competitions this year on the road to Paris Olympics in 2024. Kaya muli, saludo po kami sa inyo, Kaloy. You have our full support here in the Senate. Maraming salamat, Mr. President.
Thank you, our Senate President. Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. President, at this juncture, may I just move that the speech, co-sponsorship speech of Senator Poe, Senator Lapid, be inserted into the records. So move, Mr. President.
Is there an
And Senator
objection?
Revilla as well, Mr. President.
Including Senator Gatchalian, Senator Marcos?
Insert for the record, Mr.
Yes,
President.
the
Yes.
resolutions be inserted to record.
Yes, Mr. President, may I be allowed to make a co-sponsorship speech, Mr. President?
Yes, the Majority Leader is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I join the Senate President and all the members of this August chamber in congratulating and commending Carlos Yulo for his numerous achievements in the field of gymnastics. Last November, this representation also filed proposed Senate Resolution number 269, recognizing and congratulating Carlos for his outstanding performance at the 51st FIG Artistic Gymnastics World Championships. During the competition, Kaloy clinched a silver medal in vault and a bronze medal in parallel bars. He also won gold, silver, and bronze medals in different events at the 55th All Japan Seniors Championship held last September. And in a remarkable and historic fashion, Kaloy finished the 9th Senior Artistic Gymnastics Asian Championships with 3 gold medals and a silver medal last June. These are just some of his recent wins, Mr. President. Indeed, the young Kaloy, who spent his afternoons watching the country's top gymnasts train at the Rizal Memorial Stadium and playing acrobatics with friends at the Paraiso ng Batang Maynila Playground, is now an inspiration to all of us, especially to millions of young aspiring athletes. He has time and again made the country proud for his world-class talent, determination, and unwavering commitment to excellence, as shown in his impressive performance in these competitions. Kaloy deserves all the support, praise, and commendation of the entire nation. We wish him all the best, and we will be cheering for him when he competes in the Artistic Gymnastics World Championships in Belgium later this year, a qualifier for the 2024 Paris Olympics. Muli, Mr. President, we congratulate him. Congratulations, Kaloy, at mabuhay ka. God bless you more. Mr. President,
much,
at this
Mr. Lee.
juncture, I move that we recognize to co-sponsor the measure is the gentleman from San Juan, Senator Jinggoy Estrada.
After which, Senator Pia Cayetano as well.
Yes, Mr. President. And then Senator Go, Padilla, and De La Rosa, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Majority Leader. Senator Estrada is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I am associating myself with the manifestations made by my colleagues. Carlos Yulo started training at the young age of 7. He began his competitive career as an athlete of the Palarong Pambansa in 2008. Since then, Kaloy has been devoting himself to training and excellence in artistic gymnastics. Kaloy got through Adamson University High School because of the support of the Gymnastics Association of the Philippines. In 2016, Kaloy was extended a scholarship grant at the Teikyo University courtesy of the Japan Olympic Association under the care and guidance of his coach, Munehiro Kugimiya. The story of Carlos Yulo is a success story worth emulating by our struggling and hopeful young athletes. Noon ay makikitang patambling-tambling lamang at pagsasomersault lamang si Kaloy sa playground ng Paraiso ng Batang Maynila, malapit sa Manila Zoo. Ngayon ay sa prestihiyosong international stage na natin siya napapanood na humahakot ng medalya at karangalan para sa lahing Pilipino. Kaloy Yulo is the epitome of the modern age ideal Filipino athlete. He has proven that he has a prodigy of gymnastic genius by winning multiple medals at the World Artistic Gymnastics Championships and by being the first Filipino and first male Southeast Asian gymnast to win in this premier gymnastics competition. Sa kabila ng kahirapan, ng walang kasiguruhan, at sa kabila ng napakaraming injuries at mga sandali ng pagdududa at tukso ng pagbitaw, sa kabila ng kanyang pag-iisa at kalungkutan, ay hindi nagpatalo si Kaloy. Nagpatuloy siya sa kanyang training, pinairal ang disiplina at ang masidhing determinasyon upang tuparin ang kanyang pangarap. Sabi nga ni Kaloy, you can break down or break records. It's up to you. And it was indeed up to him when he chose to break records and carve his name and that of the Philippines in the history of the world artistic gymnastics. In his 22 years of existence and a gymnastic career spanning 15 years, Kaloy Yulo has made us all proud many, many times. And we know for sure that there is more to come in his fruitful, bountiful athletic career. That is why, Mr. President, I join my colleagues in this ardent commendation to our champion athlete. Mr. President, with the indulgence of our proponent, I would like to be made co-author and sponsor of Senate Resolution number 458. Congratulations and more power, Carlos Yulo. Mabuhay ka.
Thank you,
Thank you
Mr.
very much.
President. Mr. President, next to co-sponsor the measures, the distinguished gentleman from Bicol and the Republic of the Philippines, Senator Robin Hood Padilla. I move that he be recognized, Mr.
Our
President.
distinguished colleague, Senator Robin Hood Padilla, is recognized.
Maraming salamat po, mahal na Ginoong Pangulo at sa ating pong pinunong mayorya. Sa mga minamahal nating mga kasamahan at mga panauhin sa bulwagang ito, isang magandang araw po ng Lunes po sa ating lahat. Sa akin po ang karangalan na makibahagi sa pagbibigay pugay sa maituturing na world icon at tunay ngang golden boy sa larangan ng gymnastics. Taas noong pagkilala at pasasalamat po sa pagdalo ng ating bayani ngayon, Ginoong Carlos Edriel Yulo. Sa dami at haba po ng listahan ng nasungkit na medalya ni Ginoong Yulo, hindi po siguro ako nag-iisa. Kasama ko po ang mga naunang senador na hiningal sa aming resitasyon. Ginoong Pangulo, gusto ko lamang pong ipahayag na si Ginoong Carlos Yulo po, siya po ang halimbawa ng isang atletang Pilipino na hindi kailangang matangkad, hindi kailangang dayuhan, hindi kailangang isang atleta na tinatawag natin na sumasali sa mga paligsahan na kailangan ay medyo ikaw ay pangdayuhan. Siya po ay sukat na sukat. Tingnan natin, siya ay Pilipinong-Pilipino. At siya ay nakakuha ng medalya at nagbigay ng karangalan sa atin. At ito po sana ay maghikayat sa ating mga kababayan na kaparehas niya na magkaroon ng lakas ng loob na magsanay. At hindi nila kailangang isipin na sila kailangan maging matangkad o mag-training sa ibang bansa. Kung hindi, kanilang pagyamanin ang kanilang talento, kanilang galing bilang mga Pilipino. At makikita po natin na mahal na Ginoong Pangulo, ang kanyang height, hindi ang height na masasabi natin na inaakala natin magbibigay ng karangalan sa ating bayan. Kung hindi, yan po ang sukat ng ating mga kababayang Pilipino. At ito po ay kapatunayan lamang na tayo, ang ating lahi, kahit na ating sukat ay hindi gaano kataasan, tayo ay maghahari sa usapin ng paligsahan. Maraming salamat po, Ginoong Pangulo. Mabuhay.
Maraming salamat po, ating kapatid, Robin Hood Padilla.
Sir
Senator
President,
Robin Hood.
next to co-sponsor the measure is the distinguished lady from the city of Taguig and Pateros, no other than Senator Pia Cayetano. I move that she be recognized.
To our resident athlete of the Senate, Senator Pia Cayetano, you recognize, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to start this short speech of mine, show of support for Carlos Yulo, with how I got inspired by gymnastics. I was a 15-year-old varsity volleyball player in UP, and that was 1981, and the Southeast Asian Games was held in the Philippines. And the gymnastic competition was in the gym, in the UP gym, where I was training. And they performed there, and the star of the show was no other than our own Bea Lucero. And so before that, just see it on TV, but to see this person, this gymnast, I think she was 11 years old at that time, performing before our eyes was a sight to behold. Fast forward, we now have Carlos Yulo. And along with him here today, Mr. President, are his teammates, Juancho Miguel Besana, tayo ka, and Justine Ace De Leon, and of course, the woman behind these athletes, Gymnastic Association, Philippines President Cynthia Carrion. It's on record, di ko na paulit-ulitin yung accomplishments mo, Carlo. You are an inspiration to everyone, not just gymnastics, but athletes, young people, legislators like us. But what I'd like to point out, Your Honor, is yung timing din ng pagpunta dito ni Carlos, and at the time that we are debating this, everyone who spoke refers to the discipline that he brings to the table, that the discipline that he has to have every day. I asked him, how many hours a day on training? Dear colleagues, it's 5 to 6 hours a day. Take that in. 5 to 6 hours a day. And Carlos trains in Japan, away from his family and loved ones. The last time I checked sa social media, may loved one talaga si Carlos na mahal niya sa puso niya. Girlfriend niya, sa madaling salita. And he has to be away from her also for this training. This is the kind of discipline that he brings. The kind of discipline that the Senate President knows, because the Senate President has also been a national athlete competing at the highest level. And I say this at the time that we are discussing the ROTC bill, because discipline can come in many disciplines, in many ways. And when we honor these athletes, it is proof to all of us that sports breeds the kind of Filipinos that we want, the kind of Filipinos that we cheer for, the kind of Filipinos that dedicate their life, hindi pa ba yan yun, dedicating his life to his passion to bring pride to the Philippines. So on that note, Carlos, maraming salamat. Pati sa teammates mo, ipagpatuloy ng mga Filipino athletes ang ginagawa nila, because we are so proud. We stop what we do to watch these athletes in what they do best, because it brings all of us pride. Maraming salamat, Mr. President.
Thank you very much to distinguished colleague Senator Pia Cayetano.
Mr. President, Senators Ligarda, Villar, Go, and Tulfo would just like to insert for the record.
I already mentioned that kasi.
Yeah, and Senator Binay be inserted into the records, Mr. President. Mr. President, last but not the least is our, to co-sponsor the measure is our distinguished gentleman from Davao and Batangas, our good friend and Senator Bato de la Rosa. I move that he be recognized, Mr. President.
The distinguished gentleman used to be a very good gymnast as well. Magaling mag-tumbling yan nung pulis siya. No other
Wrestler
than-
lang ako, Mr. President, wrestler. Hindi po ako
Pero I
gymnast,
know, pag
wrestler.
binabaril ka, magaling ka mag-tumbling. To our distinguished gentleman from Davao, you recognize Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, it is my honor to co-sponsor Senate Resolution number 458. Resolution congratulating and commending Carlos Edriel Poques Yulo for raising the Philippine flag as one of the best gymnasts the Philippines has produced, thereby honoring the country with accolades in his quest for excellence in gymnastics. Winning takes talent. To repeat, takes character. These are words from John Wooden, who was an American basketball coach and player. And what Carlos Yulo gives us, Mr. President, is an example of both talent and character. He possessed the talent to win once, but more importantly, he possessed that strength of character to win again and again. Recently named as the Philippines' top gymnast, Kaloy has brought with him medal after medal for every time he has competed. When he competed in the 9th Artistic Gymnastics Senior Asian Championships, he bagged 3 gold medals and 1 silver. In the 2022 Southeast Asian Games in Vietnam, he emerged as our country's most bemedaled athlete, winning 5 gold medals and 2 silvers. While in the 51st FIG Artistic Gymnastics World Championships in Liverpool, England, he won for us a silver and bronze victory. As Kaloy himself has said, ang kalaban po talaga ay yung sarili. Hindi kasi pare-parehas yung araw. May araw na pagkagising mo, motivated ka, tapos kinabukasan, parang wala kang gana. Yung mga araw na walang gana, ang pinakamahirap na napagdadaanan ko. Okay na akong matalo sa kompetisyon, wag lang ako matalo sa sarili ko. Thank you, Kaloy, for defeating yourself. Kay Carlos Yulo, ang taos-pusong pasasalamat ng buong Senado at ng buong bansa dahil sa kanyang araw-araw na pagpili at pagpasya na ang mangingibabaw ay hindi ang kanyang pagod at kagustuhang sumuko, kundi ang kanyang husay at tibay ng loob. Indeed, he is a winner, but most important of all, he is a person of character. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr.
Thank you very
President,
much.
next to co-sponsor, Mr. President, is the gentleman from Batangas and Davao Province, no other than Senator Bongo. I move that he be recognized, Mr. President.
Our distinguished gentleman from the great city of Davao and the Republic of the Philippines, Senator Bongo, is recognized.
Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, it is with great pride and honor that I co-sponsor the Senate resolution congratulating and commending Carlos Yulo for raising the Philippine flag as one of the best gymnasts the Philippines has produced, thereby honoring the country with accolades in his quest for excellence in gymnastics. Carlos Yulo has made us all proud through his dedication, hard work, and passion, which have led him to achieve incredible feats in the field of gymnastics. I am glad that we are celebrating his accomplishments today in this August chamber. In 2022, Carlos Yulo ended his successful campaign at the Southeast Asian Games after bagging 5 gold medals, the first Filipino to achieve such feat. Certainly, he is considered one of the best gymnasts to have ever graced the SEA Games. His unwavering commitment to excellence has inspired us all. His dedication and hard work and perseverance have surely made a lasting impact in the history of Philippine gymnastics. The numerous victories and record-breaking performances he has shown in various international sporting competitions are a testament to his passion and talent. As chair of the Senate Sports Committee, let me reiterate my unwavering commitment to all of our athletes like Carlos. Rest assured that all of us in the government will fight for the rights and welfare of the Filipino athletes as part of our ongoing efforts to restore the Philippines' glory in sports and cement our status as a sports powerhouse in Asia. Makakaasa po kayo na patuloy ang pagsulong ko ng mga panukala at programa na tutulong upang mas lalo pang mapaganda ang grassroots sports program ng ating bansa at magbibigay ng suporta sa ating mga atleta. Once again, I would like to extend my sincerest congratulations to Carlos Yulo and his teammates na nandirito po ngayon. We look forward to seeing you continue to excel as you make your mark in the international sports scene. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, our distinguished colleague.
Mr. President, last but not the least is our action star, Mr. President. May galing din sa tumbling. The distinguished gentleman from the great province of Cavite, no other than our good friend, Senator Ramon Bong Revilla Jr. I
For
move
the
that he be
record, Mr.
recognized, Mr.
President.
President.
Thank you.
Yes, so you're recognized by distinguished colleague, the great province of Cavite.
Thank
Senator
you,
Bong
Mr.
Revilla.
President. For the record, hindi po ako magaling tumambling. May agimat po ako. That joke lang. Mr. President, it is an honor to rise and join my colleagues in sponsoring proposed Senate Resolution number 458, congratulating and commending one of the greatest athletes of this generation, perhaps the most outstanding gymnast our country has ever produced, and definitely a pride of all Filipinos, Carlos Edriel Yulo. My dear colleagues, with us today is a young man who continues to bring pride and honor to our country. A man whose greatest aspiration is to carry the nation's flag, raise it on the international stage, and win for the country. Napakasarap ipagmalaki na tayo ay Pilipino sa bawat pagkakataon na may mananalong atleta na kumakatawan sa ating bansa. Pero mas nakakataas sa noo tuwing makikita natin ang ating mga manlalaro na buong pusong tinataya ang lahat ng kanilang husay at gilas upang makapagbigay dangal sa bansang Pilipinas. Ito ang eksaktong pakiramdam ng bawat laban mo, Kaloy. Dahil sa mga kagaya niyong buong pusong inaalay ang lakas, galing at dedikasyon, ang panalo mo ay panalo ng lahat. At ang iyong pangningning sa world stage ay tunay na malaking tagumpay na rin sa ating lahi. Ikaw ay isang malaking patunay na saan man dalhin ang talento ng Pilipino, laging sadyang kikinang ang galing at husay nito. Muli, congratulations at mabuhay ka, Kaloy, at laging taas noo ang atletang Pilipino. God bless you, Kaloy.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, with the permission of the body, I move that all members of the Senate be made co-authors of this resolution. So move, Mr. President.
There being no objection to the motion, Majority Leader, motion is approved. All members are co-authors.
And let it be placed on record that our Minority Leader is raising his thumbs up, Mr. President. Mr. President, at this juncture, no other member wishes to interpolate or propose any amendments to the measure. I move that we adopt proposed Senate Resolution number 458, taking into consideration proposed Senate Resolution numbers 23, 248, 269, 273, 276, 281, and 292, subject to style.
There being no objection to the motion of the Majority Floor Leader, proposed Senate Resolution number 458, taking consideration Senate Resolutions 23, 248, 269, 273, 276, 281, and 292 is hereby adopted by the Senate. Congratulations to Mr. Yulo.
Thank you, Mr. President. May I ask for a minute suspension and ask our distinguished guest to come up at the
join us in
rostrum
the
and
rostrum.
for our picture taking, Mr. President.
Yes.
Thank you.
Session suspended for 1 minute.
that we proceed with the reference of business.
There being no objection, we ask the Secretary to proceed with the reference of business.
Bills on first reading. Senate Number 1815, an act to regulate public solicitation, providing funds therefore and for other purposes. Senator Tulfo.
So, to the Committees of Social Justice, Ways and Means and Finance.
For and for other purposes. Senator Tulfo.
To the Committees on National Defense, Public Order, and Finance.
1817, promoting the mental health of employees and providing for the mental health leave and for other purposes. Senator Tulfo.
To the Committee on Labor and Health.
1818, Virology and Vaccine Institute of the Philippines Act. Senator Tulfo.
To the Committees on Science and Technology, Ways and Means and Finance.
1819, institutionalizing the community-driven development approach as a national strategy for inclusive growth and social protection. Establishing for the purpose the CDD Knowledge and Resource Institute and appropriating funds therefore. Senator Tulfo.
To the Committee on Social Justice, Local Government, and Finance.
1820, giving senior citizens a 20% discount on travel tax, further amending for the purpose RA 7432 by Senator Tulfo.
To the Committees on Ways and Means, Social Justice.
1821, institutionalizing the assistance to individuals in crisis situation program and providing funds therefore. Senator Tulfo.
To the Committees on Social Justice and Finance.
1822, strengthening the Internal Affairs Service of the PNP, amending for the purpose RA 8551 by Senator Marcos.
To the Committees on Public Order and Finance.
1823, consolidating the loan application provided for agriculture and fisheries credit and agrarian reform beneficiaries and increasing the penalties on lending institutions for non-compliance and undercompliance with the provisions of RA 10,000 by Senator Marcos.
To the Committees on Agriculture, Banks and Financial Institutions.
1824, promoting land value capture in the Philippines and appropriating funds therefore. Senator Marcos.
Committees on Local Government, Justice, and Finance.
1825, mandating annual psychiatric, psychological, drug, and physical tests for police officers, amending for the purpose RA 6975 as amended and for other purposes. Senator Marcos.
To the Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs.
1826, an act to designate the 15th day of July of every year a special non-working holiday in Cordillera Administrative Region to be known as Cordillera Day, mandating concerned government agencies to conduct events during its observance. Senator Lapid.
To the Committee on Local Government.
1827, expanding the prohibited acts of discrimination against women on account of sex, amending for the purpose PD 442 as amended. Senator Lapid.
To the Committees on Labor and Employment, Women and Children.
1828, an act to designate the 4th day of April of every year a special non-working holiday in the city of Antipolo, province of Rizal, to be known as Araw ng Antipolo in commemoration of its cityhood anniversary. Senator Lapid.
To the Committee on Local Government.
1829, converting the municipality of La Trinidad, province of Benguet, into a component city to be known as the city of La Trinidad. Senator Marcos.
To the Committee on Rules.
1830, removing the expiration period of the Congressional Oversight Committee, further amending for the purpose Section 97 of RA 9165 as amended. Senator De La Rosa.
To the Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs.
1831, institutionalizing the grant of a teaching supplies allowance for public school teachers and appropriating funds therefore. Senator De La Rosa.
To the Committees on Civil Service, Basic Education, and Finance.
Resolution.
And Ways and Means and Finance.
Resolutions. Proposed Senate Resolution Number 402, directing the proper Senate committees to conduct an inquiry on the reported airport service failure that crippled international and domestic flight operations, with the objective of reviewing all navigational and communications equipment installed in all airports and seaports. Senator Binay.
To the Committee on Public Services.
403, directing the appropriate Senate committee to conduct an inquiry on the air traffic management system glitch at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport last January 1, 2023, which caused immeasurable economic losses and inconveniences to airline passengers. Senator Pimentel III.
To the Committee on Public Services.
404, congratulating and commending the Ateneo de Manila University for their exemplary performance in winning the championship in the recently concluded World Universities Debating Championship 2023 held in Madrid, Spain, from December 27, 2022 to January 3, 2023. Senator Pimentel III.
To the Committee on Rules.
405, congratulating and commending David Africa and Toby Leung of the Ateneo de Manila Universities Debate Society for winning the 2023 World Universities Debating Championship held in Madrid, Spain. Senator Villanueva.
To the Committee on Rules.
406, congratulating and recognizing David Dimitri Africa and Toby Leung for their historic first win for the Philippines at the 43rd World Universities Debating Championship held in Madrid, Spain. Senator Revilla Jr.
To the Committee on Rules.
407, congratulating and commending Filipino-Swiss Professor Kerstin Gora Wokinger for winning the Swiss Science Prize Latsis for her work on cancer medicine access. Senator Revilla Jr.
To the Committee on Rules.
408, congratulating the Pentecostal Missionary Church of Christ on the occasion of its International Missionary Day. Senator Villar C.
To the Committee on Rules.
409, congratulating and commending Melvin Jerusalem for honoring the country with the WBO World Minimum title at the Adrian Arena in Osaka, Japan on 6 January 2023. Senator Zubiri.
To the Committee on Rules.
410, recognizing and congratulating Melvin Jerusalem for his outstanding victory over Masataka Taniguchi to become the new WBO minimum wage champion. Senator Villanueva.
To the Committee on Rules.
411, congratulating the Philippine team for their exceptional performance at the 10th Mombasa Open Tong Il Mudu International Martial Arts Championship. Senator Villanueva.
To the Committee on Rules.
412, congratulating and commending the Ateneo Debate Society and the Ateneo de Manila University for the historic feat of winning the 2023 World Universities Debating Championship. Senator Lapid.
To the Committee on Rules.
413, congratulating and commending the Philippine robotics team for their successful campaign in the 2022 World Robot Games. Senator Lapid.
To the Committee on Rules.
414, congratulating and commending the Asian Mathsci League Philippines for their successful campaign in the International Junior Math Olympiad and the Vanda Science Global Finals held in Singapore. Senator Lapid.
To the Committee on Rules.
415, congratulating and commending Filipino fencer Juliana Gomez for her successful campaign at the 2022 West Java Fencing Challenge held in Bogor, Indonesia. Senator Lapid.
To the Committee on Rules.
416, commending, congratulating David Africa and Toby Leung of the Ateneo de Manila University for winning the World Universities Debating Championship 2023 last January 3, 2023 in Madrid, Spain. Senator Estrada.
To the Committee on Rules.
417, commending and congratulating David Africa and Toby Leung for being the first ever Filipino debaters to win the World Universities Debating Championship. Senator Ontiveros.
To the Committee on Rules.
418, urging the appropriate Senate committee to conduct an inquiry on the technical issue that affected communications, navigation, surveillance systems of the TAAP on New Year's Day 2023 to the detriment of air passengers and Philippine air transport systems. Senator Legarda.
To the Committee on Public Services.
419, congratulating and recognizing Filipino boxer Melvin Jerusalem for winning the WBO minimum weight belt champion. Senator Revilla Jr.
To the Committee on Rules.
420, recognizing and commending the 2022 outstanding government workers for their demonstration of exemplary public service. Senator Revilla Jr.
To the Committee on Rules.
421, directing the appropriate Senate committee to conduct an inquiry on the vulnerabilities of the entire airport infrastructure system given the recent technical glitch affecting the CNS ATM with the NMD of safeguarding our economic recovery initiatives for the tourism and transportation sectors, improving security and redundancy measures involving similar incidents and ensuring the safety, convenience, and rights of affected air passengers. Senator Gatchalian.
To the Committee on Public Services.
422, urging the appropriate Senate committee to conduct an inquiry into reports of violence, land grabbing, and illegal logging and quarrying, negatively impacting the Masungi Geo Reserve and the rest of the upper Marikina River Basin protected landscape. Senator Legarda.
To the Committee on Environment and Natural Resources. Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President, and at this juncture, please allow me to just acknowledge our good friend, Governor Grex Lagman of the great province of Albay, who is also with us today, Mr. President.
Yes, we would like to welcome Governor Rex Lagman to his Senate, to our Senate, the People's Senate.
Can I ask for a minute suspension, Mr. President?
Session suspended.
matter. Ano ba to? Point
We were going to recognize you, ma'am.
Yeah, no, but before that,
Yes.
I just have a question, Your Honor. Mukhang nag-change outfit yung ating majority floor leader. Parang nakabarong siya kanina. May we know? Kasi for us women, it's a Filipino Fashion Monday. We proudly wear Filipino. But and si majority floor leader was in sync. Ngayon biglang nagbago. May we know why?
Mr. President, if I may, I would also like to ask our dear colleague, Senator Mark Villar, if he would answer the query of the distinguished lady from Taguig Pateros. But kidding
Wala
aside,
siya.
Mr. President, something happened inside the lounge, at the Senate lounge, and I agree with the observations of our dear colleague that Monday is supposed to be a Filipiniana Day, and that's the main reason why I was wearing
Natapunan
Barong
ka
Tagalog,
ng
Mr.
kape.
President. But there was
Yeah.
I was about.
She's coffee.
Okay.
Yes,
And
Mr.
then, tsaka
President.
kasi,
And if the lady wanted to see the Barong Tagalog and the undershirt,
I saw it. I saw it.
di naman, nakita ko naman nakabarong nga. I was just curious. And also because, Your Honor, with all due respect, I would normally go to the majority floor leader if I notice something. And he's the first person who's always in proper attire. So,
Yes.
napansin ko lang naman na walang tie. And kaya alam kong may valid reason siya.
Yes.
Yun. And
For the
on my
record,
part, he
yes.
is excused.
Yes, for the record, he had a problem with wardrobe.
Wardrobe
Not
malfunction.
malfunction, but
In other words,
wardrobe problem when Senator Mark accidentally
Accidentally,
poured
Mr.
coffee, spilled
Spilled.
spilled coffee on him.
Yeah, let me take this opportunity, Mr. President, to thank the distinguished lady for raising that up, because I think it is important that we continue to adhere to our rules, and especially the tradition of the Senate. And
Decorum. It's the proper
yes,
decorum
Mr.
on
President.
uniform.
And I also ask for the indulgence of our dear colleagues who are all present when it happened, Mr. President. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes.
Thank you. At this juncture, Mr.
For the record, at least it's for the record.
At this juncture, Mr. President, I move that we take up some privileged speeches, Mr. President, and ask that we recognize the distinguished lady from the city of Taguig and Patero, Senator Pia Cayetano,
Our distinguished
to deliver
colleague-
her privilege
Thank you
speech.
very much, Majority Leader.
Thank you.
Our distinguished colleague from Taguig, the city of Taguig and Pateros, is recognized, Senator Pia Cayetano.
Thank you, Mr. President. A minute suspension, actually less, just to fix. Oh, it's already up. No need for the suspension, Your Honor. I just wanted my presentation to be ready. Mr. President, I rise today on a matter of personal and collective privilege. My speech is about vape flavors and designs which are attracting our youth, which are very attractive to our youth. Just a quick background, Your Honor. On December 12, a month ago, barely a month ago, December 12 last year, we marked the 10th year anniversary of the passage of the Sin Tax Law, which is Republic Act 10351. I was there to celebrate this landmark bill along with members of the Department of, former Secretary of Department of Health, health advocates, and even youth leaders who have worked for the passage of Sin Tax Law. You will recall, Mr. President, that this Senate has taken a strong position on taxing products that are harmful for health, particularly products that are targeted at the youth. And we use sin tax, we use the increased prices of sin products to prevent access. So marami akong kilala na maraming kwento, Your Honor, and we have the data now to show that with the sin tax that we have imposed over the 10 years, nabawasan yung naninigarilyo. So that is good news for us, Mr. President. I wanted to report that because this is part of our oversight function. We have been effective in lowering the number of people who smoke cigarettes. But I go now, Mr. President, to a new product, a novel product, which is the vapes and the e-cigarettes. And in that photo that was just being flashed, it shows me holding a sample of a vape product. Our colleagues are familiar with the position I've taken from the very start that the e-cigs regulation law that we passed repealed the very important provisions in the sin tax law, which would have ensured or further prevented the youth from being exposed to the vice of vaping. Under the sin tax law, which was the provisions that I'm referring to are the jurisdiction of the FDA. Number two, the age of 21 na binabaan sa 18 under the e-cigarettes regulation law. And third are the flavors. So this speech, Your Honor, is about the flavors. We have lengthy discussions, debates, and I think many, if not all of the senators will agree that even if you're a non-smoker, obviously, we are human beings. Pag maganda sa mata, we are attracted. Kung maganda sa pangdinig natin, we are attracted. And when it is something that is flavorful, we are attracted. So in the sin tax law, the provision of law was that only tobacco and plain menthol are allowed. Under the e-cigarette regulation law, this was amended. Tinanggal itong very clear prohibition na to, and the provision that was passed is this. I will read it into the record. The sale of vaporized nicotine and non-nicotine products and novel tobacco products that are packaged, labeled, presented, or marketed with flavor descriptors that are proven to unduly appeal, particularly to minors, shall be prohibited. A flavor descriptor is presumed to unduly appeal to minors if it includes a reference to a fruit, candy brand, dessert, or cartoon character. So I will repeat, kung ako ho sanang nasunod, we should have retained the syntax provision that simply said no flavors are allowed except yung regular flavor na tobacco and menthol. So ngayon, with this section 12, it says that we are regulating it. Bawal ang flavors that are appealing to the youth. And they presume that flavors are unduly appealing to the youth if there's a reference to fruit, candy brand, dessert, or cartoon character. I direct the attention of the body to my next slide. These are the flavors now. O hindi ba direct violation yan? Ano yan, melon? O hindi ba prutas yon? Ano pa ba yon, Mr. President, kung hindi prutas? What are these others? It's a freaking skateboard. Sino ba nagsiskateboard na may edad? Well, there are a few, actually. But predominantly, skateboarders are young people. The colors are bright, orange, purple, green. May picture ng melon, may picture ng blueberry ba yan? Blueberry. And may I ask the majority floor leader to help me out? I don't know. Lemon, ano yung nasa dilaw? Tama ba? Mango? Oh, but it's still a fruit. Your Honor, this is very clear. I read the provision of law. A flavor descriptor is presumed to unduly appeal to minors if it includes a reference to a fruit. Hindi ho ba reference to a fruit ito? Toha. Toha ba yan? Okay. So, Mr. President, under the e-cig law that I did not vote for, pero I tried to strengthen it na rin kasi I knew. Ito na yon, my dear colleagues. Dito tayo dadating. So, against my objection, it is DTI that has the jurisdiction. So, I will also inform our secretary, but I assume that my speech will be delivered to the proper entities. Ito na, it's a direct violation. What are we doing about it?
Let us instruct the,
Next slide.
should instruct the secretary.
Next slide. Look at this, dear colleagues. It's freaking Hello Kitty. Little, alam pa ni Majority Floor Leader. My Melody ba yun? My Melody, right? Wow, alam na alam. Diba? So, Mr. President, it is so. And then, Pokemon. So this is what we're confronted with. No, we were talking about in last week's hearing. Our dear colleague Senator JV had a hearing on PhilHealth where we're discussing what rates do we have to impose to ensure that PhilHealth can deliver financial support to our health institutions. And on the one hand,
papakahirap tayo supporting our health workers, and then on the other hand, okay lang sa atin na may ganito. Sinabi ko na po, ito talaga mangyayari sa atin. M&M, Skittles, those are the packaging materials of the products that are out there, Your Honor.
As you
So-
can see, my dear colleague, we're getting a lot of reaction from our, not only our colleagues, but even the Secretariat. If it pleases our dear colleague, and I would make this suggestion to the majority leader later, that we adopt an unnumbered resolution today, asking, of course, condemning all these products being sold in the market, and imploring the DTI to implement the law to the letter.
Thank you, Mr. President.
We'll do that right after your speech.
We appreciate the very proactive response from the Senate. Anyway, Your Honor, I don't know if I have more photos, but I'd like to put this on record now. Currently, we have an estimated 2.7 million Filipinos who are using e-cigarettes or vaping devices. A few weeks, months ago, I got wind of the fact that there is now such a thing as disposable vapes, which will make it also very cheap to the youth and to Filipinos. There is also more and more research coming out showing the harmful effects of e-cigarettes and vapes. And there is even one report that I read that very distinctly said that it appears to be more harmful, more damaging to the lungs than cigarette smoking. So that's all I have been trying to say from the very start. This is a new product. Hinay-hinay lang sa pag-endorse. Yun lang naman yung ayoko mangyari. We treat this product as the savior when there is no evidence yet that it is safer for the youth and even for the senior citizens. Again, I cannot control the behavior of adults. But it is still our job when we legislate that we don't allow these products to be marketed indiscriminately to make it appear as if it is safer. And now we can see the evidence that they are really targeting the youth. Why do they target the youth? Because that's their future market. The minute you hook a young person, kliyente mo na yan for the next 20, 30, or 40 years. That's why they're targeting in this way, Mr. President. So, in 2020 also, Mr. President, we have already recorded 2,807 cases of e-cigarette or vaping use-associated lung injury, otherwise known as EVALI. But this is not in the Philippines per se, no? This is I'm not sure if this is US or worldwide because this is Johns Hopkins. So, but the point is documented na rin. There is already a name to this disease, e-cigarettes or vaping use associated lung injury, otherwise known as EVALI. So that is now an ailment that is now being monitored carefully. So, Your Honors, I conclude. I thank our colleagues. I thank the Senate President for the immediate response. Hindi pa tapos yung speech ko, may action na. Maraming salamat po, Mr. President. As Chairperson of the Senate Committee on Sustainable Development, Goals, Innovation, and Futures Thinking, it is our responsible to track our progress for these 17 goals. And goal number 3 is good health, ensuring healthy lives and promoting well-being for all at all ages. So we cannot close our eyes to the fact that this product, which we have legalized, matagal na nating na-legalize because we did not prohibit it, and yet we passed a legislation that weakened the regulation, is now out there. So I will continue to bring this to the body's attention so that we can do our little part in ensuring that it does not do further damage to our youth and to the Filipino people. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much to distinguished colleague for pointing this out to us and putting this in the Senate floor of this happening today. Majority Floor Leader.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. President, with the indulgence of my ate, our good friend, Senator Pia Cayetano, if I may just be allowed to ask 1-2 questions, Mr. President.
Of course, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, first of all, at the onset, let me congratulate our dear colleague for raising this very alarming issue, Mr. President. And let me also put on record that she is not alone. She's not alone in this fight. And if you look at page 17 of our Senate Journal, December 13, 2021, this representation voted with her so that the jurisdiction under DTI be placed under FDA. It is also in that particular journal, Mr. President, that this representation voted strongly against flavors, Mr. President. Because, Mr. President, I remember during the discussion of the measure in the United States of America, their FDA rejected at least 55,000 flavors
Yes, yes.
from 500 applications. And that's why I was so passionate about it, Mr. President. And I am sure a lot of us are now thinking perhaps we should look into this matter, especially with these flavors, especially with the packaging that they are using right now, Mr. President. When I saw my melody, Mr. President, I was so shocked because my daughter, who is 10 years old, pag nakakita po ng ganong packaging, hindi na niya alam kung ano yun, bibili na
It
po
doesn't
kagad
matter,
yun.
right? It's the
Exactly,
packaging.
Mr. President. Again, Mr. President, let me also state for the record, on the same journal that I'm talking about, page 17 of December 13, 2021, this representation also voted against the age requirement, Mr. President. We were pushing for age 21, Mr. President, at that time. So I just wanted to put that on record. And for my first question, Mr. President, in implementing the law, the distinguished lady made mention about Ivali, 2,807 cases, 68 deaths. Dito po sa atin, in implementing the law, may we know if we have a data that gives us at least a clear view right now how many were penalized in the sale of vapes with flavors?
I have not read any reports, Your Honor, so I hope that we can have a hearing on this so that we can find out how this is moving along, because it is very important that we implement this always in favor of protecting health. Yun lang naman ang gusto ko, di ba? Like, regardless kung sino na yung na designate as the agency involved, they must always work in the interest of protecting health. Yes, I know DTI, which is why I was against DTI having the jurisdiction, is if you look at their mandate, it's to promote trade and industry. So there is a direct, to me, conflict with their mandate now, which is to promote health. Pero ganun Ganun ang ginawa ng Congress. So they now have to perform that function because Congress has designated them to do so. They did say, however, that they will work with DOH, and I'm sure DOH is very happy to support them on this. But this is an anomaly, Your Honors, because in my humble practice as a new lawyer, the law firm that I worked for would receive complaints. We represented a soft drink brand, and they would refer to us complaints that they would receive. If it is with regards to the product itself, yung kunyari, there's something wrong with the product, no? Let's say, may lumulutang na something dun sa loob ng soft drink. Sa FDA yung complaints noon. Pero yung consumer complaint regarding something else that has nothing to do with the product itself, it will go to DTI. So that's what I kept on explaining during the previous Congress, na that is the function, that is how DTI and FDA work together. Pero ngayon, napunta na sa DTI, so I call upon DTI to implement this, to perform their function.
Thank you, Mr. President.
So wala pa ako, to answer your question, wala pa akong narinig, but maybe we can find out in a hearing.
But considering that this is clearly a health issue, and that's the main reason why this representation voted with you, Mr. President, because I believe this is a health issue.
Yes, I do too.
And I remember, Mr. President, during the interpellations, this representation actually raised some of the issues that needed to be monitored. For instance, the selling of this products within the perimeter or nearby universities and schools. If I'm not mistaken, at least about 200, 300 meters away from schools and universities. Mr. President, yun yung dahilan kung bakit sinasabi natin na kailangan yung flavor na gagamitin dito, hindi talaga pang-attract o pang-engganyo sa ating mga kabataan na hindi na nga nagyoyosi tuturuan pa natin silang mag-vape.
Mag-vape, yun
Which
nga.
is ridiculous because unfortunately, still, until now, Mr. President, a lot of people are misled and confused because they thought, there's this wrong notion that vaping is okay. And it's not a health hazard at all, Mr. President, which is ridiculous. I'm so concerned with the way they are promoting it, Mr. President, because this representation also made sure in passing that law that there will be a provision there that even promo girls will be prohibited to be used by these companies in order to promote such product, Mr. President. So again, I wonder what DTI is doing about this. Just recently, if I'm not mistaken, and if the distinguished lady would recall, I once told her about this, that there was an event somewhere in Makati where promo girls are going around asking young people to try vaping, Mr. President.
I don't know what to say, Mr. President. Our majority floor leader and I are aligned in our exasperation, in our dismay, but at the same time, I cannot even be surprised because I was sure that this would happen, Your Honor. I was sure that this would happen. Bawal kung sa bawal, pero nangyayari because we're creating this climate na okay lang. And it's not okay lang. And I hope every member of the Senate will stand up and say it is not okay. If I may also add, I remember sharing with our colleagues that when I went to the UK to study how they were addressing cigarettes and vapes also, I was told by Public Health England that they have had success in turning off the youth to cigarettes. So the uptake of the youth in the UK is very low because they have been successful. They have implemented many of the recommendations to prevent cigarette smoking among the youth. Okay, so good yan. In fact, if you go, I shared this also, if you go into a convenience store, you will not see it because they have the no selling at point of purchase. Bawal i-display. So I remember, I wanted to buy a sample of a cigarette and I kept forgetting kasi precisely sa araw-araw na pumapasok ako sa convenience store to buy something, wala ka ngang nakikita. Kaya hindi ka ma-entice, hindi mo nga maaalala yon. Unlike sa atin, kaliwat kanan, nandyan ang mga vice, mga sin products. So that's one thing we should seriously ask ourselves if we're willing to take these bold stands, no? Na not to put in our face and in the faces of our children these products that are harmful to them. In other countries, I think Canada, there are standalone stores na dun ka lang makakabili ng sin product. You cannot buy it in stores. It's not even in a secluded area in the store. No, it's in a standalone place where sin products are sold. So hindi madadaan-daanan ng bata at ng teenager pag nag-grocery shopping or mautusan ng nanay o tatay bumili ng gatas, makabili na nga rin lang ng sigarilyo at nandito lang yon. So ganon sa UK. And then, they said that since walang uptake sa youth ng cigarettes, then perhaps the older people who have been hooked on cigarettes might benefit to switch to vapes. Proven ba na walang harm? Nope. Wala pa silang proof na walang harm yon. Pero baka naman mas makatulong. O ngayon, that was more than, when was I there? 2019. O ngayon, may mga news articles na biglang nag-spike ang mga young people and the youth using e-cigarettes. That's what happens. You introduce a sin product in the market. The youth are the first to try it out. It becomes novel for them. It becomes exciting for them to try it out. So even in the UK, na nakontrol na nila yung cigarettes, o ngayon, they will now have a generation of vapors. And I don't want that for our country, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I cannot agree more with the statements made by our distinguished colleague. As the national chairman of the Kristiyanong Kabataan para sa Bayan Movement, one of the biggest youth organizations here in the country, Mr. President, we are so much aware of this dilemma in addressing this particular concern with regard to vaping, especially the flavored vaping program of these companies. Mr. President, I would support any move coming from the Senate. I distinctly heard the suggestion of our Senate President to come up with a numbered resolution and denounce this program, Mr. President, of these companies, and which are obviously violating the law that we passed here in Congress. But one last question that I'd like to ask our distinguished colleague before I give the floor to some of our colleagues who may wanted to ask questions. Mr. President, distinguished colleague, is there a mechanism at all where our government agencies like DTI, who is now in charge of monitoring and regulating this particular initiative, would have a no-nonsense monitoring program in the selling of these products, these vapes, Mr. President? Because it's obviously, I mean, what our distinguished colleague showed us this afternoon with regard to the promotions, with the, what do you call that art and the marketing strategy that they are doing right now, it's really not acceptable, Mr. President. I have a daughter, 10-year-old daughter. Again, I would put it on record. If my daughter would see that my melody, something like that, which looks like a keychain, Mr. President, she would ask me to buy that particular product without knowing that it's actually a vape. So, Mr. President, I just wanted to ask, because if DTI would tell us they have no way to really do their job despite the law, then we should do something. Should be sensitive to the needs of our government agencies to ensure the protection, especially the protection of our young people whom we consider the heroes, the hope of our motherland. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you for that question, Your Honor, kasi it forces us to think about the implementation of the law and to call the attention of our agencies. Your Honor, Section 23 of the law, the vape regulation law, states online sellers and distributors of vaporized nicotine and non-nicotine products or novel tobacco products and online platforms that are non-compliant with Section 8, yun nga, yung sa pinag-usapan natin ng mga attractive to the children, shall be ordered by the DTI to immediately suspend trading of such products and shall be liable for the fines and penalties imposed under this section. Suspension shall continue until the manufacturer, seller, distributor, or online platform has complied with the requirements provided herein. So very clear naman tayo, Mr. President. Siyempre, ayokong dumating sa ganon kasi meanwhile, harm is done and siyempre, we are a country that follows due process in as much as gusto kong pasara ka agad yan. But DTI does have those powers and they must use those powers to protect the Filipino consumer.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Clearly, DTI has a lot of explaining to do as to why they are not implementing the law, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, dear colleague. At this juncture, I will, Mr. President, our distinguished colleague, Senator Jinggoy Estrada, would also like to ask some questions. I move that he be recognized, Mr. President.
To our distinguished colleague from San Juan City, Senator Jinggoy Estrada is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will my beautiful Kumare yield to only one question?
Of course, Mr. President, we are happy to respond to our colleagues' questions, observations.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I am a bit confused. May I ask, which is more harmful, cigarette smoking or vaping?
That's a very good question, Your Honor. In the previous question, we had lengthy debates on this. Precisely why we cannot endorse the use of vapes and e-cigarettes, of all of those novel products, because precisely they are new. We do not have enough evidence to prove that they are actually safer. And that is the position that Philip Morris and other companies that are promoting vapes and cigarettes and e-cigarettes would want us to take. Safer to, dito tayo. But yun lang naman ang sinasabi ng mga health advocates, which includes this representation, na hindi pa nga tayo sure, kaya you cannot make those claims. Now, as I have always said, Your Honor, if they want to make a claim that this is a harm reduction product, there is a mechanism for that. They can go to the FDA and say, this is the proof, this is the evidence, may process po yan na harm reduction to. Ito po yung mga nicotine patch. They will prove that this nicotine patch has proven to be a harm reduction product, therefore allow us to put it on the market and market it as an alternative. Pati ho yung nicotine gum, ganon. They can do that, but they refuse to do that. They do not register it as a harm reduction tool, but they just want to make those claims. And they are making those claims against the law.
You know, the reason why I ask this question is because there are a lot of cigarette smokers who switched to vaping, thinking that it is less harmful.
Correct.
Not only outside, wag na tayo lumayo, dito na lang sa Senate. There are a lot of former cigarette smokers here who switched to using vape, no? Thinking that, again, that it is less harmful. That is why I think I am the only remaining senator is using the smoking room there. Because a lot of my colleagues
Have switched,
have switched to vape,
Yes.
thinking na mas less harmful to sa kanilang
Last man standing po kayo.
alam mo, I have never used vape in my entire smoking career.
So, Your Honor, Your Honor's observation is correct. I verify that I know from seeing, from chatting with our other colleagues who were former smokers and now using vapes instead, that they have made that switch. And our colleague, Senator Ralph himself, when he defended the e-cigarette regulation bill, said that on his own, he can honestly say that he feels healthier. And I told our colleague, as I tell all our colleagues, I'm happy for you that you feel healthy, but I'm telling you, as a student of vapes, that there is no proven evidence yet that is actually healthier for you. So as adults, if they want to make that choice and they want to believe, that's like there is this debate, what is healthier? Olive oil, butter, avocado oil, canola oil. You can look at the evidence, you can see the different arguments, but until the science is very clear which one is healthier for you, as legislators, we cannot just decide to say, we cannot give a go signal if there is no clear proof. And that is why we have decided that it is not a prohibited product. If they want to make the switch, they can. But the manufacturers and the retailers cannot make those public claims until they go to the FDI and register their product as a harm reduction tool. They should be willing to do that if that's the claim that they want to make. On that note, Your Honors, I would like to share this with you. Ito yung sinasabi ko a little earlier today. Vaping causes lung damage just like smoking, according to new research. This article came out on January 25. So ito lang, I won't read na the details. I can share this with all of you. Pero yan ang lumalabas na findings. E-cigarettes, potentially harmful. PET images show greater, I emphasize,
Greater.
letter ER, greater
harm.
lung inflammation. Greater lung inflammation in e-cigarette users than cigarette smokers. So,
O di, okay lang pala.
I was going to say, Your Honor, off the record, na baka mas okay nga kayo, my dear Senator Jinggoy. But I cannot say that pa rin naman kasi
Of course.
it would be reckless for me to say that. But I'm just reading, di ba? You draw your own
That is a
conclusion. Yan ang
findings
sinabi.
from where?
Let's read the article, Your Honor.
Because if you tell me that vaping is
Yeah.
is less harmful,
So,
then I will switch right
Mr.
away.
President, this is also what's very important about evidence, no? When we have, and sadly, I have had this experience, when we have colleagues, and I'm not referring to you, Your Honor, who refer to their own experiences as science, No, that is anecdotal. That is anecdotal. That is not science. So ito, I am proud to say na when I read something to you, it is a peer-reviewed publication, which is the norm in science. Hindi porke merong study, even if I say there is a study, because everyone can come up with a study, until it is peer-reviewed, that is the only time that fellow scientists will look at it and say, uy, okay, baka may laman yan, di ba? Kasi peer-reviewed. So this is a peer-reviewed publication by the Society of Nuclear Medicine and Molecular Imaging. Kasi nga, it refers to the PET imaging eh. So there probably would be others.
in the Philippines?
Ah,
or
no, Your
abroad?
Honor, this is based in the US.
Okay.
Yes.
So they confirmed that vaping is more harmful than cigarette smoking. Is that
Based on
Is
the
that what I-
imaging. Based on the imaging. Kasi sila po ay nuclear medicine and molecular imaging.
But there is no study yet.
Well-
Aside from that, aside from what you just read.
Baka may iba pa. I'm just saying this is what I've read that states that
Kasi alam ko,
e-cigarettes are potentially harmful. PET images show greater lung inflammation. So that's the finding of this study.
kasi alam ko parehong may chemicals yan. Mas marami pa yatang chemicals itong vape.
Yun
kaysa
nga
rin
po
sa
yung
tobacco.
yun po yung sinasabi nung health advocates against the e-cigarette companies na don't be don't be in a hurry to endorse that because these have so many chemicals that interact with each other, and when you inhale it, that's inside your body already. So
Correct.
that's exactly what they were saying. Don't be so fast to give it a sign of approval na safer yan for us.
So is it right to join my colleagues to join me in the smoking room instead of using vape?
Actually, Your Honor, I'm aware that there is a long-standing debate now on the use of a smoking room by the smokers and the e-vapors. Both refuse to be with the other, from what I'm told, Mr. President. So it becomes a dilemma, honestly, for establishments na papatayo pa sila ng isa pa. So I don't pretend to have the answer, but the way the e-cigarette regulation law was worded was it provides for guidelines if an e-vaping room would be established. But I believe it was not mandated that it must be established.
Okay. With regard to the vapes, I saw your presentations. There are a lot of vape products that has been yung mga
That look very cute.
yeah, yung ano yun? Hello Kitty,
Hello
yung mga
Kitty, My
chocolates,
Melody,
M&Ms,
Pokemon.
Kitties.
Oo.
Hindi ba natin pwede lagyan ng picture-based warning yan?
Actually, Your Honor, thank you for mentioning that. It is in our law na meron naman picture-based warning
As
din
long
yan.
as it can be proven that vaping is detrimental to our health.
Yes, meron naman po. It is required. And so, I appreciate His Honor's question kasi based on the pictures I showed, mukhang wala rin naman sila nung graphic health warning.
Yes.
But that is also required. So thank you for bringing that up because we also bring this now to the attention of DTI na kailangan din may
Yes.
picture-based warning yan.
I will, if there is a resolution or bill passed, I will automatically vote for you.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Mr. President.
Okay. That's all, Mr. President. Thank you
very much. Thank you very much, sir, distinguished colleague.
Thank you.
We'd like to recognize the minority leader, distinguished minority floor leader, Senator Aquilino Coco Pimentel III.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let me congratulate and commend our colleague who has been very passionate about this issue for bringing this up to our attention because in all honesty, I had no idea about what was happening in the vape industry and vape market, Mr. President. So thank you for bringing this up in a very short and direct to the point privileged speech. And with Her Honor's permission, I'd like to ask some questions.
Of course, we're very happy to listen to His Honor's, the minority floor leader's questions and happy to respond if we have the answers.
Thank you for giving us some pictures.
Yes.
Are those products available in the Philippine market? Is that
Yes,
the...
in particular online. I had wished, kasi I dapat last week pa ho yung speech ko, I was also not in a hurry to deliver it because I wanted to bring samples. Pero according to my staff, matagal yung delivery. Na-order namin pero hindi pa dumating. When they come, then I will, I'll just make a manifestation and share it with you. But all of these, we found online. And if I may just add, no, you'll be surprised, dear colleagues. Yung mga payment apps, I won't mention the name, but I have one in my phone. Pag wala akong pera, I'm very happy to use the payment app. I scan and pay. Aba, may pop-up din. May pop-up din na ads nun. I mean, wow, it's everywhere, Your Honor, the ads of these,
Vaping
it may
ads.
not be these products, but it's vaping ads, Your
Yes,
Honor.
an ad promoting a vaping device.
Yes,
Maybe
before I can access my payment app, magpa-pop yung ad nila.
So are these also, from your research, Mr. President, are these also available in the physical? Because you have physical
Yes.
stores, di ba?
So,
So we have this parang
my Melody, Sanrio,
may Melody
Sanrio
pa to.
products.
Malapit
Malapit ng makook ang inyong Little Princess minority floor leader sa mga ganyang products.
And then I saw an M&M's and Skittles.
Skittles,
and
yes.
May Häagen-Dazs pa yata. Ay, parang I saw it or...
Ito, ano
yes,
Your Honor has
Yes.
better eyes than me because I did not even notice that Häagen-Dazs pala
may
yung
Oreo
last.
pa po, Oreo.
Oreo, yes.
Which my sons
Who
love.
knows? Who knows
so-
what's the green?
Are these available in the physical stores?
So, what I can tell you, Your Honor, is these particular items were found online. I know that there are similar ones. As to whether identical, I cannot give an answer, but there are similar products that violate the law that are in physical stores. I will ask my team to maybe purchase a few so that we can also check, Your Honor.
And then, Mr. President, when a manufacturer of a vaping device would mark the device with M&M's, that's a trademark of the chocolate
Yes, may violation.
company. So most likely, this is also an illegal use of the
Of course.
trademark of M&M's and of Skittles. So,
And along with the Sanrio products, trademark
so
naman
it's
po yun.
Oo. Yes, everything, yes.
So I would imagine, Your Honor, these products would either be online and in small stores. In fact, my staff told me that you can find these kind of products, not necessarily these designs, no, but these products that are attractive to the youth and most likely have violation of trademark rules also, laws also, in the Tiangge, Your Honor.
May Starbucks pa nga po.
Saan yun?
Sa yung nasa right side po.
Yeah. It looks like our water bottle, no, with the coffee brand logo.
Okay, so Mr. President, if we have clearly established this afternoon that vaping products, which appeal to the youth because of their color combination and the use of trademarks related to candies, to desserts, and some consumable items attractive to the youth. And these are clearly violative of the law, and they are available in the Philippine market either through online ordering and delivery and physical stores. Therefore, I think it's time to hold accountable the government agency which we authorized or gave the power to regulate the vaping industry. So, di ba yun yung change of the law? We got it from FDA. We gave it to the DTI.
Yeah, so we hold them accountable now.
Yes, we have to hold them accountable now. Because when this was being discussed on the floor, I asked the then DTI secretary, kaya nyo ba? Sagot niya sa akin, kaya. But this is proof na hindi kaya or mukhang hindi kaya. So we have to find out, Mr. President, the real situation on the ground. How bad is it and how how unregulated is the vaping industry in spite of the law. Nagano na nga yung law from the very strict limiting, very strict rule limiting the flavors to 2, we relaxed it by putting in the description of the prohibited descriptors. So ganun ang approach natin. Instead of a positive list, ang list natin is you can use your imagination except the following. Ganun ang nangyari. But apparently we are
Parang
facing...
ganun, Your Honor. Because even I had the problem with, like the way His Honor phrased it was correct. Yung bang sabi ko, ang klaro-klaro na ng ating limited flavor provision, which was tobacco flavor and menthol. And then sabi ko, here we are, we opened it up, as Your Honor said, we gave them a license to use their imagination except may prohibition tayo. O ngayon, blatantly, nava-violate yung provision na yun. They're not even trying to be creative, Your Honor. They just blatantly violated the provision.
Yes, yes, sir.
You're a top-notch lawyer, you're one of the bar top-notchers. There's no debate here. It's illegal.
Yes,
Yeah,
Your Honor.
That should be banned.
Yes.
They should follow the law.
Yes.
And if they don't, we should penalize them.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's it. Simple
Yes,
discussion.
I agree, Mr. President. So that's why I'm very thankful
Yes.
to our colleague because she brought this up. And kung ganyan ang nangyayari sa ground, and that's what our colleague is reporting to us, violation po ito, klaro.
Claro.
Wala na pong debate. And siguro, yeah, yun na nga, siguro if we are going to adopt a numbered resolution, can we also require the DTI to explain what is happening, Mr. President?
What we could do, Your Honor, is aside from adopting a numbered resolution with the sense of the Senate, no, urging the proper, in this case, the Department of Trade and Industry, to fully implement the law condemning the sale of all these
Yes.
particular products in the market, which is violative of the law that we passed, the particular Republic Act that we passed. That will be the sense of the Senate. Then we will now refer, with the permission of the body, the speech of the good lady, Senator. If the body will allow me to make the proposal, of course, to the majority floor leader, to her committee, para siya yung lead committee, the SBSDG with Department or the Committee on Trade and Commerce as secondary, so that she's the most passionate one on this particular issue. Let's give her the lead so that we can see results when she calls these departments. Hindi nila mabola-bola yung ating colleague from Taguig. Kaya maganda na siya na mag-lead yan and she'll put them in their proper place. And then when the results come out, we can come up with a committee report. If you wish to come up with more stringent proposals, it can be discussed in a committee report. So 3-step process yan. Ating resolution, referral to her committee and have an investigation, and then eventually her own committee report. But it would be good if we pass a resolution immediately para bukas.
Today, yes.
Yeah, today. Para bukas mapadala na natin sa DTI.
Sige po. So, hindi ko na rin po papatagalin yung usapan natin dito because klaro, violation of the law. I agree with the observation of the Senate President. And frankly, I'm quite disappointed na gano'n na nangyari because, DTI would have also the wherewithal. Would also have the people and to regulate the industry. But if this is what is happening, we are really disappointed because we put our trust on them, Mr. President.
On the institutions.
Sabi nila, kaya nila. So let them. I hope that they will be able to explain what's happening, Mr. President, during the
Thank
committee
you.
hearings.
It's the story of our lives as legislators. We passed the best possible laws, debated by both majority and minority. Eventually, we come up with the best possible laws. It's not fortunately implemented by the executive.
Salamat.
So thank you for
Salamat
that,
po. Thank you to our
Minority Leader. Thank you.
sponsor. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President,
Yes, Madam.
may I also bring to the attention of the body, no? Kasi when both the minority floor leader, the majority floor leader, and the Senate President are on board, it makes me happy to take on the task that you present to me, Your Honor. I'd like to point out, I'm asking my team if they can flash a photo. They're still trying to put it together. Their market survey showed that there are also accessories, yung mga pa-cute na bag na lalagyan ng vape. And these bags are also targeting the youth. Ganyan din ang itsura ng mga bag. Now, this is where, with your Honor's permission, in my committee report that I intend to come out with after the proper hearing everybody, there are provisions on the bill that I filed, which would have strictly regulated this industry, that was not included in this final version of the e-cig regulation law. My version, Your Honors, had a provision restriction on advertising, sponsorship, and promotion. In any event, in any case, bawal, and my version specifically says accessories, such as but not limited to clips, bags, holder, lanyard. Kasi nila lanyard po yan maliit lang ang vape. Nila lanyard yan, tapos yon. Pati yon nilalagyan ng colors and images that are attractive to the youth. We already knew na may ganon. That's why our version already had that. Sadly nga, the narrative that this humble representation was trying to share maybe did not have enough traction. So hopefully now, under your Honor's leadership, we can move forward and really protect the youth. Kasi you know how it is, no? The three gentlemen actually who spoke all have
Young kids.
young girls.
Yes.
Girls and boys. Girls and boys. It just so happened, My Melody and Hello Kitty yung pinag-usapan natin. But remember, the other picture I showed you was a cool skateboarder. Not that skateboarder isn't for girls. Marjeline Vidal is a female skateboarder, but I'm just saying they have their ways of making it attractive. This candy looking picture we have here is obviously attracted to
Even
both
attractive,
boys
it's
and
making it
girls.
cool. Making it
Yes.
cool and hip. Hip and cool.
Exactly.
For
Your
those who
Honor.
understand the lingo, it's sort of like it makes it attractive for that particular teenage set.
Yes.
That to belong
Yes.
to a particular
Mr.
hip and cool
President,
crowd.
it's more of pressuring, Mr. President. It's pressuring our young people to go into this because if you don't do this, you're not cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
If you
that
don't
this,
have the accessories
this
that
is
go
really
with it.
Yeah.
unacceptable, Mr. President.
No, let's do it right away.
Thank you, Your Honors. I would be very happy to work on this, Your Honor. Thank you for the
Thank
trust.
you. Thank you for bringing it out to the open today. Once again, it actually angers me because we already placed that. We were with you in making sure that all these flavors will not be included in the law because it will attract children and teenagers. So, Majority Leader, you
Mr.
want to make the
President.
motion?
Yes, Mr. President. I have two motions here, Mr. President. First, I move to refer the privileged speech of Senator Pia Cayetano, and the interpellations, manifestations by our colleagues calling for an investigation on the violation of the Vaporized Nicotine Regulation Act and all the interpellations and manifestations thereon to the Committee on Sustainable Development Goals, Innovation, and Futures Thinking, and the Committee on Trade, Commerce, and Entrepreneurship. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, motion is approved.
Mr. President, with the consent of the body and as initially suggested by our Senate President and the leadership of the Senate, with Senator Loren Legarda, Senator J.V. Ejercito, and this representation, together with the minority floor leader and the entire and those who are still here today, Mr. President, I move to a numbered resolution expressing the sense of the Senate, calling the concerned agencies, especially the Department of Trade and Industries, condemning the situation in the sale and marketing of vape flavors and design targeting the youth. I so move, Mr. President.
It's a clear violation of the law.
Which is a clear violation of the law.
I would
So move,
suggest,
Mr.
with the
President.
permission of the body, we make all members.
Yes, Mr. President.
I think this is non-debatable because it's really a violation of the law anyway.
It's a
so-
clear violation of the law. Yes,
There
Mr.
being no
President.
objection, the unnamed resolution is hereby approved. And we will ask the Secretary to prepare the resolution with the number by tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, some admin matters.
Oh, and also that after the resolution is adopted and approved, and we have already adopted and
Yes.
approved it, as soon as the resolution is prepared, for the Secretariat to immediately furnish a copy to the Department of Trade and
And concerned
Industry
agencies,
and
Mr.
other
President.
concerned agencies.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, with the consent of the body, I move to transfer the primary committee referral of Senate Bill number 182, Citizen Service Program Act, from the Committee on Basic Education to the Committee on Higher Technical and Vocational Education, while retaining its secondary and tertiary referral. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, motion is approved.
Mr. President, pursuant to Section 18 of the Rules of the Senate and upon the instruction of the Chairperson of the Committee on Higher Technical and Vocational Education, Senator Francis Chis Escudero, may I just manifest for the record the inclusion of Senate Bill number 182 in the Subcommittee on the Revitalized Reserve Officers Training Course Act with Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa as Chairperson. I so manifest, Mr. President.
So the manifestation is for the Higher Technical Vocational Education, create a subcommittee.
Yes,
which
Mr.
will be led
President.
by
It's
Senator.
already being
Okay.
led by Senator Bato de la Rosa, Mr.
There
President.
being no objection.
Yes.
There being no objection, motion is approved. Okay. There's no more oral bill
Yes.
of Senator Gatchalian? Tomorrow?
Tomorrow daw, Mr. President.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this juncture, I move that we adjourn the session until 3 o'clock in the afternoon of Tuesday, February 7, 2023. So moved, Mr. President.
Before we adjourn, we'd like to thank Senator J.V. Ejercito for the wonderful merienda he served to the senators. And without further ado, the motion is to adjourn. There being no objection, session is adjourned until 3 o'clock in the afternoon
Thank you, brother.
of Tuesday, February 7, 2023.